Welcome back. All right, I think it's safe for me to do a news of the day video for now. And I've been waiting because we know the trades just keep rolling in, and I just wanted to wait. I can do my treadmill. That way, when I'm on the treadmill, trades will come in. So I wanted to start off talking about the New York Rangers. Keandre Miller will have a hearing today. He will be suspended. He is saying that what happened yesterday was an accident. We'll see how that plays with the NHL. I don't think it's going to be a long suspension. I think probably a game or two, but we'll see. We'll see how seriously they take the incident where he spit at Drew Doughty. So other information with the Rangers right now, according to Cap Friendly, they have enough space to bring in Patrick Kane if there's a 75% retention. So Bill Guerin should pick up his phone because my guess is Chicago retains 50% and Minnesota gets 25%. They get probably a third or a fourth round pick. And the New York Rangers would then have themselves Kane. I think the plan in Minnesota is to have all of the third and fourth round picks. I think that's so. While I did that video on how third and fourth round picks don't necessarily work out, if you have all of them though, you're getting NHLers. So there's that plan in place. But it seems like the date for Kane to end up going to the Rangers is probably going to be Wednesday, which is March 1st. That's the expectation, anyways. And there's other space that could be made up in the event that Ryan Lindgren needs to go on LTIR. That would free up some money. But if he goes on LTIR, rightfully Ranger fans, I think, would panic. Lindgren, last year in the playoffs, it didn't matter how many times he got hurt, he came back into the game. And he is an absolute warrior for the Rangers. So if Lindgren's going to miss a significant amount of time, it has to be a bad injury because he generally will play through a lot of pain. So speaking of injuries, Chinakhov and Meyer have been activated from the Columbus Blue Jackets. They have assigned them both to Cleveland, their AHL affiliate, on loan, meaning that they'll probably come back up relatively quickly, get a couple of games in with the Monsters, and then come back up and play for Columbus. For Chinakhov, the preseason and the start to the season, it looked like it was going to be a good year for him. Injuries have derailed that, so hopefully he can get back on track before the season's done. I like Chinakhov. The finishing has been a problem for him over the last couple of years. JT Miller is listed as week to week with a lower body injury. This has created a large hole in the Vancouver lineup, which I don't think is going to upset management very much. So they're up against Dallas tonight. Now, Dallas having struggles of their own, but the second line is speculated to be, and it may not stay this way because Rick Tocchet hasn't seen Kravtsov play yet, but Kravtsov on the second line with Studnicka and Besser. So, and Ratu being a third line center too. I'm interested to watch this game just to see how this works. I think this could be a fascinating game for Vancouver fans because you get to see all these players in different positions and on different lines, and we'll see how it goes. Again, Dallas has had their struggles recently, so we'll see whether or not Vancouver comes out of Dallas with a point or two. Erik Karlsson. So there's been a lot swirling around Erik Karlsson. I've never believed that he's getting moved at this year's deadline. I think there was a lot of hype because of the season he's having. I think if Erik Karlsson was having a regular, normal season, if he was producing at like, say, 12 goals, 45 points, maybe 50 points, I don't think there would be nearly as much talk. But because he's been producing so well, I think that's caused a lot of trade speculation to really ramp up, where I don't think there's anything there. It doesn't feel I'm not saying nobody's called on Karlsson, but we haven't heard anything about San Jose wanting him gone. And the other thing is, Erik Karlsson pointing out today, he hasn't been asked to waive his no movement clause. It'd be really, really off-putting to have a GM come to you a couple of days before the trade deadline and say, hey, can you waive your no movement clause now? So also Mike Greer, when asked, said that it is likely that he's a Shark for the rest of the season. He's not getting moved. It really is a matter of, I think there's a lot of talk and a lot of people saying, oh, clearly Edmonton, but yeah, there isn't the money for Edmonton to get that done. And I don't know that Erik Karlsson would fix all of the ills of the Edmonton Oilers either. It certainly would be exciting to see him and McDavid on the ice together. Say the two of them with Draisaitl, and they already have the best power play in the league. Man, you put Karlsson on that point. At any rate, Erik Karlsson's going to finish the season as a Shark. If you're Mike Greer and you're looking at moving Erik Karlsson, you're much better off waiting until the summer when teams are going to have the money. You're going to have free agent season where teams aren't right at the cap right away. And if you do some small retention on his contract, especially after the year he's had, you're going to have a taker or two. So we'll see how it works for San Jose this summer and whether or not Karlsson sticks around. He's made it clear he wants to stay in San Jose. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. So I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be the truth. And yeah, we'll see. Your 3 stars of the week, 2 goalies in the 3 stars. Connor McDavid leading the way as the number 1 star of the week. It's just ridiculous what McDavid's able to do. 112 points so far this year. That's a career year for 99% of NHLers. But for McDavid, it's just the beginning. We've got another 20-some games for him to produce more points. He could end up with around 140. And it is odd to me how now we're so used to McDavid's point totals being gaudy like this. Nobody bats an eye when he hits 100 points so early in the season. So first stars to him, second star to Linus Ullmark, who's been absolutely fantastic for Boston. And of course, he got the goal against Vancouver the other night, so kudos to him for that. It's Swayman starting tonight against Edmonton. Gibson is the 3rd star for Anaheim. He faced 643 shots over his last 3 games, and he's been remarkable. So again, I mentioned that maybe Gibson saw online people taking issue with him being seen as one of the better goalies in the league. He's like, fine, I'll just go out and be one of the best goalies in the league, and he has been. So for Anaheim, Gibson's a player that I do wonder how much longer he's going to be a Duck, but it's really in his hands. If he wants to stay, I don't think Anaheim ends up moving him. And I'm not suggesting anything deadline. I think most of the big names that are going to move have already gone, or, of course, with Kane rumored to already be gone to one team. But yeah, so I'm glad to see Gibson in the 3 stars. Interesting news with the Florida Panthers. So Florida right in that schmozzle at the bottom of the East. And by bottom of the East, I mean right around that that playoff line. Barkov and Bennett aren't going to play tomorrow, and when Barkov's out of the lineup, that does have pretty major consequences for Florida's line combinations and for their game in general. They're both expected to play this weekend, but for Florida, they need all hands on deck because, yeah, this is quite the dogfight. You've got Detroit, you've got Buffalo, I know Washington's fading. So even if we say, well, Washington's probably not going to make it, you can still add Pittsburgh and the Islanders to that list of teams that are fighting it out for those wild card spots in the East. So it should be an entertaining run right to see who ends up getting those spots. Keep in mind, we have seen before that when it's a fight for those wild card spots, that those wild card teams end up being very dangerous in the playoffs because they've already been playing playoff hockey for months. Whereas the teams that are at the top of the league may not have had that same intensity. They don't feel that same pressure, and it can take a bit for them to catch up when it gets into that playoff series, and that's where we sometimes get upsets. So we'll see who ends up getting that, and whether or not Florida losing Barkov and Bennett for whatever period of time it is, if that negatively impacts their ability to get that playoff spot. Alex Kerfoot's name's out there today. I thought I would mention here that there's speculation about whether or not he's going to end up going to Vancouver. He'd be a rental at the deadline. I don't have the hate for Kerfoot that some Leaf fans have. I will say that with Kerfoot, what you see is what you get. And right now with the cap being as it is and everything, there's the possibility Kerfoot gets moved out to make a little bit more space for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And there could be a sweetener of a draft pick or two thrown in with that in order to have Kerfoot's contract off the books, at least for the rest of the season. So we'll see if he ends up moving. I don't think Toronto's done, although Kyle Dubas did have a press conference today. Very often GMs will have press conferences when they're kind of done with it, but it's Toronto, so he could have a press conference almost every day, and you'd still have a lot of coverage for that. So we'll see. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. The numbers on the channel right now are absolutely ridiculous, and I thank you guys so much for making them ridiculous. They're not Boston Bruins NHL record this year ridiculous, but they're getting close. Thank you guys so much, though, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.